Hello, this is the big experiment with the historic cake recipe. So I did some research and this is actually a chiffon cake, and what makes it chiffon is that it's butter or shortening with egg whites that have been whipped. So there's some rules for chiffon cakes. You should use a medium oven, 350 to 375. I'm going to try 350 just to be on the safe side. And you cool it in the pan for 10 minutes and then take it out. You grease and flour the pan because say crumb tends to stick. First thing I'm going to do is put together the butter and the sugar. And the recipe, this is the only instruction, is beat sugar and eggs until creamed. So we're going to do that. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. So we'll come back when I'm finished with that. Okay, now I've moved to a bigger bowl so that I don't spew flour all over my kitchen. The next thing I'm going to do is add the flour, which is 2 cups, and then 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And what I've done is I put it into a bowl here and then take a whisk and mix them together. If you've ever bitten into a baked good and you get a bite of soda, the reason why is because someone has skipped this step. It's very important. You don't want that. Blah. Then what it's going to do is I'm going to put this in part of it, mix it, then put milk in part of it, mix it. This is to help with the loft. If you put it all together, it makes it gummy, and then the glutens and stuff activate in the flour and make a mess. Your cake is kind of chewy then instead of crumbly. Again, I'm not going to make you watch me do this, so I'll be back when I get done with this. Okay, I finished with this. Now I'm going to add egg whites, but I need to clean my beaters, and I need to make sure my bowl is really clean, and so are my beaters. I mean really clean. Because if you don't, you will be trying to mix egg whites until you're as old as this recipe. It will not loft, and your cake will be like a pancake. So I'm going to clean up and do the egg whites, and then I will come back. Now on to the egg whites. I have put 4 egg whites into the bowl like the recipe calls for. Got to thinking after I got it all done that maybe not everybody knows how to do this. I'm just going to go on the fact that maybe you don't. You crack the egg, and then you tip it over to the higher spot and let it just kind of drip over, and you go back and forth until you have the egg whites in here and the yolk in a different bowl. I also thought maybe people might be interested in seeing this. This is an old egg white separator from my grandmother's kitchen. I use it as a decoration. I'm not going to use it with food. It's kind of coming apart with the galvanizing and such, but I just thought it was kind of fun. I'm going to whip these up until they're stiff peaks and add it to this. Again, not going to make you watch it. Okay, now this is what you call a stiff peak. It'll stand up and it's shiny when you get done. Now I'm going to what they call fold, which is I'm going to take and loft it in a figure 8 to put the air in, which is what this is all about, to make the cake stand up. And we'll be back in it just after I get that done. Got to thinking that maybe there was some tips I should tell you about. I left the eggs out for a little while so that they were room temperature. That way they get loftier. And when you start to fold something in, I always put just a little bit to kind of get it started so that the eggs will kind of adhere to the eggs and you don't have to mix quite as long. Okay, the eggs are incorporated. I don't know if you can see here, but it's kind of shiny now. Before it was sticky and kind of gooey. And you have to be really careful when you're adding egg whites. If you overdo, you again will have a pancake. I'm going to put it in a pan. I'm suspecting that this was 2 round cake pans, but I don't own 2 round cake pans, so I'm putting it in 9 by 13. Another thing that I really like that I use a lot is parchment paper. Makes things so much easier to take in and out. And because I'm going to hopefully frost this, I want to have 2 pieces so it'll be easier to lift up. Another thing I was thinking just as I was whipping up these eggs, Grandma didn't need to go to the gym to do power ropes. So whipping up eggs by hand, would take forever, and you would have arms like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm gonna put this in and we'll pop her in the oven and see what happens. Looks like the cake's gonna be about 20 minutes. We're pretty close right now, about a minute. Just wanted to go over a couple things. I have been measuring everything out because I live in the countryside and learned early that if you have everything measured out, you have everything. And that way you don't have to take 40 minutes there and back to town to get an ingredient. So that's the reason why I do that. I'm going to go check on the cake and we'll see how it goes. Okay, I lied. It was 28 minutes, but here she is sitting on the rack, which you're supposed to do with a chiffon. You let it sit on a rack to cool for about 10 minutes before you take it out of the pan. So I'm going to wait for it to cool off a little bit. Then this is the part that makes me nervous. I'm going to cut it in half because I want to make a square cake. We'll see. Wish me luck. Here's the cake out of the pan, and you can see I over prepared, but I didn't want to have a mess. It slid out very nicely and it is cooling, and as soon as it's cool I will be making the frosting. So I'm starting on the frosting, and I'm going to be cooking the sugar and the milk together to make a simple syrup. Usually simple syrup you think of with water, but this has 10 tablespoons of milk. So I'm assuming this is what I'm supposed to be doing because it also says 1 egg white. So in order to make this kind of a frosting, you have to cook the sugar. So I've added the milk to the sugar, and I'm going to be continuously stirring so that the sugar doesn't burn and caramelize too much. I suspect this is supposed to be a white frosting, so we shall see. Okay, I've cooked the milk and the sugar on the stove until it was kind of bubbly. So now I'm going to add it to the egg white that I mixed up with some vanilla. I put in a teaspoon. I don't know. It didn't say, it just said flavor. So we're going to try this. I'm going to temper the eggs so I don't get scrambled egg whites by putting just a tad in here, mixing it, and then adding slowly. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not going to make you watch this. Okay, so I've tried the frosting twice with the amount of ingredients in it, and I was assuming this was supposed to be like a Lady Baltimore cake where it was fluffy, but with the amount of liquid in this, it just isn't coming out. So it occurred to me that in the 1890s, 1900s, somewhere around in there, that they wouldn't probably have been so interested in lofty just taste. So I'm going to just do, because this is the second batch and it's turned out both times, because I thought maybe I had messed up the meringue the first time. So we're going to frost it the way that the recipe calls for and see what happens. Okay, I only used part of the frosting, and I'm pretty sure there's something about it that I'm missing. But this is the final product, and my victim just went upstairs, so we're gonna cut some pieces and we'll let you know how it tastes. Okay, I've cut a couple of pieces and my victim is here, so here you go. We're gonna give her a try and see what it tastes like.
It's good.
Yeah.
Refreshing.
Better than I thought it would. I still don't know about the frosting, but the cake's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'd call it a success.
Yes.
So I guess recipes can travel through time and do pretty well.
Yeah, that's very good.
Be well.